Lord God, we come into this moment of prayer and we offer first and foremost ourselves to you in that spirit of worship and praise. We love you, Lord. We owe you that. We simply need to just stop and adore you. We sing about that and we speak about that, but it's important that we stop and do it. Sometimes we can be so tempted to think that it's about us, and it's about what we gain, but it's really about you. It's about coming into your presence and offering ourselves to you in that spirit of undiluted praise and worship that we so deserve. And we acknowledge, God, that we're broken people, that we're sinful people, that we are wayward people, that we don't live up to the call that you placed on our lives. We fall so far short of your expectations for us. And yet you still love us, and you still want to be in relationship with us. And you still desire our communion and our fellowship and our presence in your church and in your family. You still want to be a part of our lives, and it defies understanding. Because a holy and righteous God should, by our measurement, not want anything to do with us, because we're so broken and so far off the path that you have for us. But we love you. And we appreciate what has been done in our lives to secure our presence in the kingdom and in the family of God. And because of that, we come here with hearts of thanksgiving today. We just celebrated Thanksgiving, but we do have many things to be thankful for. We have, largely, our needs are met. We have our material needs met. We have clothing to wear, food to eat, and places to sleep, and people who care about us, and things that give our lives comfort in addition to the meaning and significance that are ours because of our relationship with you. And so today, Lord, receive also our thanksgiving and also our thanksgiving for answered prayers. Because there are those that we pray for and we've seen your movement, we've seen your benefit, we've seen your presence in their lives, and we know that you appreciate our thanksgiving and our gratitude. It's always good to acknowledge the giver of all good gifts, and it's good for us to stop and do that and realize that all the good things that happen, all of the blessings that we enjoy, are gifts of your hand simply because you love us. And so today, Lord, we do stop in the midst of it all and just thank you for what you've done. Because of that, we know that when there are concerns and when there are needs and when there are burdens and difficulties and challenges, physical health issues, emotional health issues, issues of grief and brokenness, material needs, unemployment, jobs, whatever they are, relational issues, we know that you care and you can answer those prayers if we just give them to you and then trust you to do it. And so we do that today. All of these that are on our prayer list that we've talked about, that we've read over, those that are on our hearts and our minds, even silently today, you know the needs, even more than we do, even if it's in our own life. And so we just hand them over and trust them to your care and know that you want the best for your children. And so it's with confidence that we do that today, looking forward in the very near term to offering prayers of thanksgiving in these circumstances that we're thinking of, even in these moments. And above anything else, God, we need a greater awareness of your presence in our lives. We need a greater dependence on you in our lives. We need a greater understanding of you in our lives. And particularly in these next few weeks as we come up to Christmas and go through this Advent season, we know the world is going to give us every temptation to draw our attention aside from you, to get caught up in the trappings of the season, the muchness and the manyness and the busyness and the hectic pace. Help us, God, to center our thoughts on you and on that manger in Bethlehem, and to remember that's where it all began. That's where the love was most made known. And that's where our focus and our attention needs to be. Help us, God, to do that and to remain faithful, diligent followers of Jesus Christ. For it's in the name of Christ that we pray this morning. Amen. Yeah, here we go. Advent again. It's an amazing time of year. Jenny and I were talking about this over the weekend. It's a challenge sometimes to keep it all in perspective because there are so many things that happen in our lives. There's so many parties and gifts to buy, and cards to mail, and letters to write, and phone calls to make, and all that stuff. And you know what I'm talking about because we all deal with it too. And it's so hard to stay focused on that manger because it's really so simple. It's just not a lot of glitz and glamour there, but the world offers us so many things. Well, I don't know how many of you braved the elements Friday. I did not brave those elements and go out shopping, but I know some did, and God love you, and I'm glad you're here and safe, and that may be where why some are not able to be with us this morning. We're just plain worn out from getting up at that horribly early hour to go brave the elements and the crowds to save a little money. But anyway, there's just so much of that, but we need to stay focused on what's important. We're going to do that through Luke's Gospel, the first chapter today. Luke chapter 1, beginning at verse 26. When the angel came to Mary and gave her news that wasn't real simple news, but certainly came to this simple peasant girl and gave her some news. And I want to focus today on Mary's response to the angel and certainly what our response should be as Christ comes into our lives. Luke chapter 1, beginning at verse 26. Luke writes, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you. But she was much perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary, for you found favor with God. And now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great, and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end. Mary said to the angel, how can this be, since I'm a virgin? I'm sure she said more than that, but that's what we have recorded here. The angel said to her, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child will be born, will be holy. He will be called the Son of God. And now your relative Elizabeth, in her old age, has also conceived a son, and this is the 6th month for her who was said to be barren. For nothing will be impossible with God. And Mary said, here I am, a servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word. And the angel departed from her. I just love reading that story, and I think about, put yourself in Mary's shoes. Now, you're really surprised when the angel appeared to me and told me I was going to conceive a child. But even in Mary's case, she knew circumstantially this was pretty unlikely. She was a virgin. She was engaged, but had not yet done that thing necessary to conceive a child. And so she was a little puzzled, I'm sure, and I love just the simple, direct points that Luke makes in recording this story. She was pretty direct. I'm sure there was more dialogue that took place, more discussion that took place between Mary and the angel. There sure would have been if it was me. But the ultimate response that she gave, I think, is what we need to focus on this morning. And the whole thing, the word that comes to mind for me is, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, and we know that. And we've talked about Christmas miracles, and we know that it's a miraculous story. But then I ask myself, I look around at the world today, and I ask myself, whatever happened to miracles? Do miracles still happen today? Whatever happened to miracles? Some would suggest that the modern era, this modern scientific, concrete, knowledge-based world that we live in has sort of ended miracles. That miracles are no longer real and no longer present in the world. I disagree with that. I fundamentally disagree with that. I think that we've lost our ability, though, to recognize miracles for what they are, and I think ultimately the real culprit is our language. It's the language that we use. We've lost our ability to recognize a miracle when it happens and to describe that which is miraculous by the language that we use, because we don't want to talk about mystery and uncertainty and things that we can't really explain. We want to talk about things that you can use your five senses to see and taste and touch and feel and hear. You know, when a girl and a boy meet, that's not the picture on there. When a girl and a boy meet and they fall in love and that thing develops and they blissfully marry and have a life, we refer to it as what? As fate. Fate brought them together. I think Shakespeare may have started that. When two people have been separated by years of strife and discord, and they come back together, we say things like, well, time heals all wounds, and that's what happened. When really, frankly, it's a miracle when those kind of things take place. It's miraculous. Somebody is sick, and then over a period of time they have medical procedures and some medication, and they heal over a period of time. We say, well, it's a natural consequence of good medicine and the surgery and the time to heal. When actually it's miraculous. It really is when someone is healed, even from a result of medical intervention. But I think our language fails us. We have fate, we have luck, and we have natural consequences, and we have the greatness of medical science. We have everything but miracles in our world, if we look at it through the lens that we usually look at it through. You know that one particular Native American culture, we used to do mission trips to Oklahoma, and maybe some of you have been out there, to the Indian tribes in Oklahoma. But one Indian culture has a word for miracle, and it was impressed on me by a friend of mine in Muskogee, Oklahoma, who is a Muskogee Creek Indian. He said the word for miracle is the same word that's used for rain. The word for miracle is the same word that's used for rain. And whenever it rains, it's described as a miracle. They use the same word that they use for miracle. Some farmers around here this year might have a different word for rain, actually, because it's been an incredibly wet fall, and the harvest is still way behind where it needs to be. But they describe it, the Muskogee Creek tribe refers to it as a miracle when it rains, and perhaps we should. Whenever the flowers are bloomed, it's a miracle. Whenever those kind of things happen, it's a miracle. And we like to think we know better. We like to think we've got it figured out. We know that when warm air and cooler air meet, and certain things take place, and the water droplets condense and they fall to the earth, and that's how rain happens. We like to be able to describe the how and the why of it. When spring comes, the flowers bloom. Friends, it's not just that miracles don't happen. It's just that we don't describe them as miracles anymore. Miracles are not just when God delivers the unexpected in our world. Miracles are God's gift to people who look for them. People who have their eyes and their hearts and their minds open to miracles. That's who miracles happen for. Miracles happen when we're faithful. Okay? When we are faithful and when we're looking for them. Miracles happen without faith about as often as azaleas happen without spring. You can't have a miracle if you don't have the faith to make it happen. Miracles come to those who are willing to accept them and who are willing to expect them. People who look for them will find them. But you know what? Miracles don't always happen the way that we expect them to or would like for them to, perhaps. The miracle of a rekindled marriage may not happen overnight, but it may happen over time. Miracles of restored relationships may not happen like the flip of a light switch, but like the slow, tedious, often burning of a candle. Miracles show up in God's time, not ours, and that is hard for many of us to swallow. Because I would so much like for God to consult my calendar, my schedule, with the restoration of life and relationships and with the answering of these prayers for healing and wholeness in the lives of people that we care about. But miracles don't happen in my time, and they don't always happen in my place. They happen in God's time and in God's place, and sometimes that looks a little strange to us. There's an example from history, the history leading up to the first advent of Jesus Christ. And we're in this in-between time. We're waiting for another advent of sorts, and we're waiting for a miracle that sets all things right in the world. But the people of Israel, the children of God, had prayed for a Messiah. They had hungered for a Messiah. They had yearned with every fiber of their being for someone to deliver them from the oppression that they knew as a nation and as a people of God. They thought their miracle was going to take the form of a soldier, a great military leader riding in on a white stallion to save the day, or perhaps some politician who would come to overthrow the oppressive rule of Rome. But their Messiah came in the form of a baby in a manger on the outskirts of that insignificant village in the Judean countryside. And they didn't even recognize it, many of them, when he came. God's miracles are not always what we expect. They're not always what we even want. But they are never less than what we need. God's miracles are never less than what we need. Miracles happen, though, only for those who have their eyes open enough to see it when it happens. The rest of us live in a dark world. We don't have our eyes open. We live in a dark world, and we don't always see the miracle when it happens. We live in a world that's without that light. We live in a world where we see the facts and the figures and the concrete things and nothing else. We don't see anything beyond that. We see what we want to see, frankly, and when we do that, we disregard the miracles that God brings into our lives as sort of natural occurrences. So we need to pay attention. We need to look at our world and pay close attention to our world. Miracles happen when faith and active expectation or participation meet God's grace. That's when miracles happen. Miracles require our faith and our active, expectant participation in them. They require both. You think about our faith, and you think, okay, Mary, you got to consider Mary. I think we in the Protestant tradition, we in the Baptist church, kind of downplay the significance of Mary. Think about Mary. I think she first conceived Jesus in her heart before she gave birth to him. I think she was part of that nation. She was part of the people that needed a Messiah. She was part of the one that was eagerly looking forward and being expectant. And Mary was a faithful young woman. If she had not been, that angel would not have appeared to her. It might have been Barbara and Joseph. I don't know. It would have been somebody else. But God knew that Mary was ready and expectant and willing to participate. And that's why God chose Mary. I think she was ready. Her heart was prepared. And she had her eyes open to see what God wanted to do. But there's more to a miracle than what we can often see with our eyes. Kind of like that proverbial iceberg floating along in the Arctic Sea. You see a small portion sticking up above the surface of the water, but there's a whole lot more underneath that we don't always see or understand. The miracle of the Hebrews being freed from the Egyptians began with a burning bush in the Midian desert as Moses believed that God had called him to go to Egypt and set them free. That's then. Maybe a little more contemporary example, the Miracle Mets of 69. How's that for contemporary, right? The Miracle Mets of 1969. It wouldn't have happened if they had not believed that it could take place. Or the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 men's hockey team. They won the gold medal. That miracle began in training camp when they believed that they could do it. They believed in themselves, and they believed in their skills, and they believed in their coaches, and they believed in their team, and they pulled it off. Those are the things I can think of in the sports analogies that use the word miracle. There may be others, and there certainly have been other miracle things that we've referred to. The birth of Jesus is a miracle because of the faith that Mary possessed. And also, we've got to give Joseph some credit. He had faith enough to step up and stay faithful to what he knew God was wanting him. Miracles also require our participation. Moses didn't just believe God when he saw the burning bush. Moses picked up his staff and went to Egypt. He went to Egypt and he took some things in hand, as it were. Mary didn't just believe God, she took some action to help this along the way. Moses, though, I think he had to actually go to Egypt. Not a good place to go, actually, in his shape with his news that he had to carry to the Pharaoh. But he did. He went. He had to free the people directly, not by remote control. He had to actually go and do something about it. Miracles sometimes require a little bit of sweat equity, a little bit of involvement on our part. And then we think, well, I did it myself. It's not a miracle. The miracle is when God gives you the promise and then equips you to do it. There was a man that was blind from birth. Jesus healed him, and he received his sight not through the mail, not electronically, not just sort of poof, it happened. Jesus put some mud on his eyes and then said, go wash in the pool. And he did something, and that's when it took place. There are times, okay, I'll admit that, when there's no participation involved on the part of the recipient of the miracle, except perhaps outlandish faith. But that's participation, isn't it? Think about the woman with the issue of blood that just reached out and touched the hem of Jesus' garment. The man with leprosy by the side of the road, healed, boom, just like that. But those times are rare, and they usually involve people who are unable to do anything for themselves. And so they need just that miraculous, instantaneous recovery. But the miracle of the birth of Jesus was not one of those kind of miracles, actually. It required Mary's cooperation, her agreement, and her participation. The question was, God was willing. We knew that. He was going to send a Messiah, no matter what. The question was Mary willing? And so you read this story. And really, Mary's ultimate response, like I said, I'm sure there was a dialogue that took place that extends beyond the words that are immediately recorded there in that little discussion between the angel and Mary, because Mary was, if nothing else, she was a human being. And you know how it would be. I know how I would be if an angel appeared to me in the middle of the night and gave me this news. I'd probably have an extended conversation with him. But the ultimate response is all that matters, really. At the end of the story, at the end of the day, at the end of the discussion, Mary says, may it be with me according to your word. Let it happen. Let it be. She's a servant of the Lord. And so we have a miracle called Christmas because Mary was willing to say, ultimately, okay, I'm in for that. And aren't we all blessed because someone had that willingness to step out of faith. Miracles in our world, as we understand them, may be rare. And I guess that's why we call them miracles. If they weren't, they'd just be normal. But I don't think they're rare like an endangered species. In other words, they're decreasing in number. I don't think they're rare like that. I think they're rare because people of real faith are rare. People who are really willing to participate in a miracle are rare. I think that's the real problem. I think miracles could be just as abundant as they were in the pages we have recorded in Scripture if people of faith were that abundant. If receiving a miracle is dependent on my having the spirit of Mary, then I have my answer. I know why perhaps that miracle isn't happening. Because maybe I'm not quite faithful enough to give myself all the way to it. We need to have the answer that Mary had. I'm the servant of the Lord. May it be as you have said. So my question is, how many of us have had that submissive attitude to put our lives entirely in God's hands? Entirely in God's hands. without maintaining any control yourself. And I know that's a real awkward place to be. None of us wants to step out entirely in faith because it requires dependence on someone other than ourselves. And we've been taught from the first days of our life, you are responsible for your own actions. You are responsible for what happens in your life. Nobody else is responsible but you. But you know what? Ultimately, as a believer in Jesus Christ, as a follower of Christ, motivated by the Holy Spirit, equipped by the Holy Spirit, called by God, you are not responsible for your life. God is. And if you have enough faith and He calls you to do something, just do it. Don't ask questions and don't try to maintain just a little bit of control for yourself as a fallback plan. Because if you have a fallback plan, then you are not faithful. It's just that simple. When we keep things in our hands, when I keep things in my control, guess what, friends? The result is predictable. It will be messed up. But when I put things in God's hands, who knows what can happen? Maybe a miracle. Maybe a miracle. But it's more than putting situations in God's hands. It's putting ourselves in God's hands. To the point where we can say, have your way. May it be with me according to your word. These are words that serve as the prelude for a miracle. May it be as you have said. So friends, it is really that simple. Do you need a Christmas miracle? Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? Do you need a miracle in your life? This morning, every one of us, at some level or another, comes to God in need of a miracle. And we need to ask ourselves the same question first, because we may not really want a miracle after all, but we need to know that we still have the need. The question is, do you have faith in God? Do you have ultimate faith in God? Are you willing to participate in the miraculous? Even if at times it means ridicule and isolation and rejection and mockery and people hating you and getting down on you. Do you really want a miracle, and are you willing to participate in it? Because remember, Mary was rejected by her hometown. She was run out of town, literally, because of her yes response. Do you have some need of miracles in your life, and what are you willing to do about it? Maybe it's a relationship that needs healing. Maybe you're tired of the fighting and the loneliness and the abuse and the mistrust and the anger that seems to permeate so many of our relationships. Then let God have control completely. Just give it to Him. But be ready. Be ready, friends, because miracles happen, but they don't always happen overnight. And there'll quite possibly, in fact, quite probably, be some pain along the way. You think you'll never get over some tragedy that's plaguing you in your past? Follows you around like a shadow everywhere you go, ruins your sleep, steals away the joy and the laughter from your life? Then just look to God and say, may it be to me as you have said, and look for a miracle, and it'll come. I believe that. You worry about your health? Who doesn't, right? Worry about your health? Your body's burdened with pain, disease, you got something going on in there that nobody can explain. Let God have His way. Just stop worrying about it. Take some initiative and trust that God knows what He's doing. Rest in His arms, call on His name, and wait on a miracle. Don't stop taking your medicine. You know, God can use doctors to bring about benefit in our lives, but just trust that God will do it and have faith and be willing to participate and claim for yourself some hope, because ultimately that's what He wants you to have. Or maybe not any of you, but some people are plagued by a sort of a secret sin in their lives. There's something that's going on in their life that they can't quite get rid of. And they're desperate to get out from under its power, and yet it still keeps plaguing them. And you know what's right. You're just like Paul in Romans. You know what's right, but you keep doing what's wrong, even though you know better. And you know what's wrong, but you just keep doing that. nonsense in the Bible about miracles. You see, you cannot possibly believe that Jesus changed water into wine, do you? And the guy said, I sure do, because in my house, Jesus changed whiskey into furniture. You know, miracles happen, but sometimes it doesn't look like what we think it'll look like. He requires us to be involved in the process. You know, the Hebrew children were not set free in a week. It took a while to convince the Pharaoh and then to get across the wilderness into the promised land. But in time, the miracle came. You know, Mary, that miracle took a while to sort of brew in her spirit, and it took 9 months for that miracle to come to pass, and it's taken over 2,000 years of Christian history for that miracle to become real in some of our lives, and it may take longer yet for some. But in time, a miracle will come. I pray that we see those miracles along the way as we just get on board with Mary right there. Having some hope, having some absolute expectation. And we say right along with Mary, okay, God, I hear what you're saying, here I am, servant of the Lord. May it be to me as you have said. That's my prayer. And I hope that it is your prayer as well in this season of miracles. Expect nothing less and work for nothing less, and our world will be a better place. Let's pray. Lord God, thank you again for that wonderful gift that we have received as no one else has given. That gift of Jesus Christ that has changed our world in ways that we don't fully understand, but we sure desire to be so. God, help us in the weeks to come as the world tries to get us pulled aside and distracted. Help us to realize that there are some miracles yet to happen, maybe even in our own lives or in the lives of those around us, but miracles nonetheless. Help us to pray, to hear from you, and then to work with you to make those miracles come to pass. And help us to call them miracles when it happens, not just something else or try to explain it away. Help us to recognize it and identify it for what it is. Your active involvement in the world, bringing about the miraculous for the cause of the kingdom in Jesus Christ. For it's in his name that we pray.